Labour overturned huge Conservative majorities to win 2 by-elections last night in Tamworth, Staffordshire, and in Mid-Bedfordshire. So let's just have a look, because this morning you really are seeing the smoke rising from the Tory toaster, OK? In fact, there's so much smoke. Can we bring on a fire extinguisher? Clear some of it. Thank you. So there's the piece of toast. And these are the 2 by-elections we're talking about. Chris Pincher, Conservative MP, let's freeze it here, groping. Had to go. Tamworth, they're feeling green today. Lost Tamworth, and Mid-Bedfordshire gone. Nadine Dorries got cross, wasn't put in the House of Lords. So those 2 characters have gone from the House of Commons. They were Conservative MPs. The Conservatives lost their seats. 20.5% swing in Mid-Bedfordshire, and my goodness, this is enormous, 23.9% swing against the Conservatives in Tamworth. Let's just roll this and let's try and put it in some context. So we'll just show you a piece of toast here that represents the Conservatives since the by-election started under Boris Johnson. And we'll try and work out how these swings compare to other swings. So here we have, bear in mind, this is a party with an 80-seat majority. So it's not like John Major's government. They can lose a few MPs. They're still in power. Tamworth, 23.9, Mid-Bed's 20. OK, what else? Well, the Owen Paterson by-election, 34.2% swing. Went to the Lib Dems, that one. That's why it's in yellow. Another yellow one, Tiverton and Horton. Another chunk, Somerton and Frome, 29%, nearly 30%. Those are Lib Dem seats that they took. So these were Lib Dem gains. What is significant about these 2 seats is they were taken direct from the Conservatives by Labour. And then we go back to this one, Selby and Ainsty, same thing happened there. Another chunk taken out of the toast, 2023, very recent, this year, July actually, 23.7%. So these are mammoth swings. These are big movements of voters. And, well, let me start with you, Phil. I know you love your politics. What do you make of it?
Well, I think watching at home, this is the moment you can say for certain that the Tories are going to lose the next election.
Really?
With absolute certainty, because out there in the real country, the real listeners to the viewers to this programme, they're fed up. The mood in the country is, I can't get a doctor. I'm on an NHS waiting list. I go into Tesco and I look at the prices. My children can't afford to pay rent or pay the mortgage. And you know what? I remember what we were doing during COVID. We were obeying the rules. This lot weren't. They were having parties. Yeah. And you add all that up, and the mood of the country is, we've had enough, they're going to be out.
So they're toast, Angela. Do you think so?
Absolutely disagree. I absolutely disagree. I think a lot of these are devastating results for the Conservatives, the absolute swing, the sheer numbers, but I'll say 2 words, Neil Kinnock. Everybody thought he was going to win. There is a huge difference between the way...
He wasn't winning by-elections at this rate.
Hang on a second, Phil.
These are incredible.
Hang on a second, Phil. I think there is a major... All the things you say are true. There are huge challenges.
The Tories have made a mess of the country?
No, I disagree that it is all at the blame of the Tories. There have been huge external factors that have driven the political landscape at the moment. But I would say simply this, that the reason I don't think it's a shoo-in, whatever your politics, is that there is a very big difference between the way people vote in local council elections and by-elections as they do at a general election. And when they stand in the ballot box and think, do I want Keir Starmer as leader, who is still dealing with fringe hard left politics, who U-turns and flip-flops on so many significant issues? Do I want him as my Prime Minister? They may not want the Tories, but they may want even less him as Prime Minister, which is why I don't believe it's a shoo-in. Obviously, it's a huge challenge.
OK, let's just hang on. Let's just hear a bit of one of the victory speeches now. This is Sarah Edwards, and she's the one who won in Tamworth.
My message to the Prime Minister is get in your government car, drive to Buckingham Palace, do the decent thing and call a general election.
What do you think, Janette? Time for an election?
I don't know, I guess so. It feels like the people are angry. They're all kind of protesting, like you said. There's a lot of, it's unsteadiness with everything. I think as a person who doesn't get too involved in politics, I kind of just sit back and watch everything that happens. And there is definitely a shift, I feel, even just listening to people talking, that the country's had enough. And I don't know if that means that the Tories need to change what their politics are, or that they might lose. I don't know what that is, but I do feel that there needs to be some kind of shift because people are getting tired of the cost of living, of the NHS waiting times, of lots of those Awful.
They pulled the Conservatives an amazing stunt in 1990 where they realised Thatcher, or they thought Thatcher was going to lose. They swapped her with Major and they just squeaked the 92 election.
Yeah, but they've
now
about
done this.
four.
I know.
How many
So we've had
leaders have we
5
had?
prime ministers in 6 years. Cameron, May, Johnson, Truss, Sunak.
a lot.
This doesn't work anymore, Angela.
Look, the thing is, does it work or doesn't it work? We can discuss this on the date in 2025 when they call the general election. I'm sorry, I just don't think...
But not even next year?
But I don't think...
They're going to hang on to the very end. That will be absolutely...
I'm sorry, Phil.
Hang on.
Phil, I mean, I don't know if it's a left-wing thing to keep interrupting when you don't like to hear the opposing politics. Well, then you have to zip it, Phil, OK? So all I am saying is this, that the catastrophising doesn't help. We had COVID, we had the war in Ukraine, we have a global downturn in the economic picture across the world. A lot of these things are not just driven by Tory policies.
The health service?
There were
7
issues
million
with
people on the waiting
issues
list?
with the health service. Yeah, and look what
that's
COVID does to it.
So Phil, no one mentioned Brexit there. So the jury's out on whether Brexit's been a great success or...
Is it?
Well,
I think
the Conservatives probably got to own Brexit and say that was on us.
How did Johnson achieve an 80-odd seat majority? Why did he achieve it? There were still all those things. There was no...
Brexit, well, I'll tell you the answer. Corbyn and Brexit. He said, look, Brexit is stuck and I'm going to dislodge it.
Right.
And everyone just thought, oh, please, yes.
So you've just, with the greatest of respect, you've just supported my argument.
Maybe.
They elected him not because he was good, but because the other stuff was bad. And that's what I am saying. Hang on, that's what I am saying. Starmer is not necessarily good, but that's why people...
Let's take a call. John, Starmer isn't Blair. That's one thing the Conservatives can cling to here. John in Bristol, hi.
Oh, hello, yes.
What do you think? This is it feels like a big morning, this, with these by-elections.
Listen, the very fact that the Tories weren't toast years ago is a sad indictment on our country, quite frankly. Where do I even begin, Jeremy, honestly? If we go back to 2010, we had an ideological-driven austerity, which has driven our public services, everything from...
Well, hang on, they were still borrowing. They were still borrowing money in 2010. This austerity thing, they were spending more than they were taking in tax. I don't understand how that's austerity.
No. It's because they managed to double the national debt whilst reducing the country, the public services to. Now they're on its knees.
Well, maybe.
We are seeing the results of 10 years, 13 years of austerity, and then you've got an ideologically driven Brexit, Tory-driven Brexit, and then you've got all the corruption, the lies, the incompetence.
It sounds like you've had enough of them.
It's I've had enough of them years ago.
I could tell, yeah.
Honestly.
You don't miss much, do you, Jeremy? You don't miss much.
I'm on this today. I'm really got it. I'm alert. It's always interesting comparisons with the States, with your home country, because the thing that gave us Brexit, which is a kind of massive surge of popular will, arguably, also gave Americans Trump. And I can't work out what's going on in the States now that's like this. Because it may be that Trump gets back in.
Oh, God, no.
There's no comparison now.
But there isn't. But this is the... I mean, believe me, I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but you know how, Janette, quite understandably, the knee-jerk is, oh, God, no. But actually, the guy got elected. Now, I'm not comparing Sunak
and he might win again.
Exactly,
and
which
Biden,
is why I'm saying
he didn't get the majority of the votes, did he? Hillary got 3 million more votes.
But he got the votes. And the point is that you're saying you're catastrophising now when you don't actually know what's going to happen when it comes to the vote.
I do have to say, though, in listening to Angela and Phil and being someone who doesn't really sit with one or the other, there is something to be said about the fact that COVID, the war in Ukraine, cost of living crisis, the globalization issues that we're dealing with the economy, all of that did happen while the Tories were elected. It is not the Tories' fault.
You know nothing. That was a brilliant analysis.
But it's not the Tories' fault that those things happen.
Which is also a brilliant analysis. That bit was brilliant too.
Phil thinks it is
the Tories' fault, and they say they changed. They haven't changed. Last week, 25 young Conservatives were fined for having parties during COVID. People don't forget that. And What did Sunak do? Did he sack them? No, they're still all in place. This is a party that isn't... I know some of the stuff is about globalisation,
You happy to,
as you rightly say, but some of the stuff is the mess. The zigzagging, the changing the leaders, they try one, they try another, waiting lists get longer, mortgage rates go up.
So you're happy to have a Prime Minister you've told me what's wrong with the Tories, and some of it I agree with. You're happy to have a Prime Minister who U-turns constantly, who very much put his bottom on the chair when it came to Jeremy Corbyn and would have sat in his...
I'm happy to give the other lot a go.
He would have sat
in
his cabinet.
I'm no big fan of Labour either,
they were
it's time for
investigated
change.
by the Equality and Human Rights Commission.
No, but that's going back a bit.
Well, he's going back.
Yeah,
he's going
back. Okay,
so how do the rules change?
Well, let's see. I mean, it may be like Jimmy Carter. He wins the election just because they're just fed up with Nixon and Ford. And,
well, like Joe Biden winning in the States, people were fed up with Trump.
Well, and God, the States is so interesting. We mustn't get distracted.
That's all.